Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever and whenever you are viewing and watching today's pre-recorded webinar featuring Alaska by Land with Railbookers. Folks, my name is Jim Marini, and I will proudly be your host here today. Thanks so much for joining me. And I did want to mention, too, as you are looking at your screen right here, folks, you can enlarge the picture right there in the middle if you choose. You can minimize it. In the top right-hand corner, also, we have our website as well as our social media links. See me, of course. So I hope you enjoy today's webinar, again, on Alaska by Land with Railbookers. So with that in mind, folks, let's get started. Now, for those of you who may not be as familiar with Railbookers, I am proud to say we are part of the Railbookers Group brands right here, folks. Railbookers Group's brand, which not only includes Railbookers, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, but also includes our sister brand, Amtrak Vacations. I always like to say we definitely know a thing or two about trains, not only domestically here in the United States with Amtrak Vacations, where if any of you want to take advantage of a 3, 4, 5-day weekend, week-long getaway trip to 1 and 2 weeks long across the U.S., including out to some of the beautiful national parks, you can certainly do that. And that also applies to Railbookers, except Railbookers is not only the U.S. with Alaska, which is what today is about, but Railbookers also features all of our Canadian, all of our European, and worldwide rail journeys. And just so you know, we'll talk a little bit more about it, but between both of our brands, it's all independent style vacations. Flexible independent travel, what we refer to in the travel industry as FIT. Now, when it comes to USA trips in particular with our sister brand, Amtrak Vacations, folks, did you know you can actually travel from today? So whenever you are viewing and watching today's pre-recorded on-demand webinar, if you want to literally get out of your house and visit some family and friends in other parts of the country and tie in a vacation, or maybe you don't feel like flying or driving, you can literally depart from today with our sister brand Amtrak Vacations, or plan your trip today for Alaska, maybe sometime this summer or fall of this year in 2022, or even just as great, even in 2023. But guess what, folks? You even have the option to book with a small deposit with us on any of our trips, not only Alaska by land, but to plan and book and travel all the way up to 2024. Now, there's so many reasons why travelers love Railbookers. And folks, if I could draw your attention to the large screen on your laptop or your computer monitor, wherever you are viewing today's pre-recorded on-demand webinar, in the top left-hand corner, Rail Expert Knowledge. When you plan and book your trip, folks, you or your local travel advisor, he or she is speaking to one of our rail experts, someone who knows the rail, the best trains, the best routes, the best destinations. You can book and travel from today all the way until 2024, as I mentioned. Also, we have a great maximum flexibility opportunity, and really that applies to our optional cancellation insurance, really giving you that peace of mind if you did need to change or postpone your trip. Ask one of our rail experts or certainly your local travel advisor to tell you more. If you look at the bottom left-hand corner, I'm proud to say we have the largest rail vacation selection in the world, not only with Railbookers, but also between our sister brand, Amtrak Vacations. So combined, both brands really are a one-stop shop worldwide independent tour operator by rail. And the last point is no rail trip is too complicated for us. Did you know we can personalize and customize any trip just the way you would like for you, your friends, and family? And we'll talk a little bit more about that during today's presentation. Now, how are we able to provide such great service and really give all of our travelers the opportunity to even book all the way until 2024? We have direct rail partnerships. And if you look at your screen right here, folks, this is just a sample of some of those iconic trains that we have fantastic partnerships with, all right? As you can see on your screen, not only local trains here in the United States, but throughout Canada, throughout Europe, and around the world. Iconic trains, high-speed trains, even luxury trains as well. And you're certainly not going to be disappointed when I feature the main train that's offered and included in Alaska. But before I do, I always like to mention Railbookers We do way more than just rail tickets. What do we offer? If you look at the top left-hand corner, folks, confirmed seat reservations. All right. So once you book with us, you or your travel advisor will be able to take care of where you would like to be on board that train. Also, sightseeing activities, tours, that's all included. Hotels, 3, 4, up to 5-star hotels, depending on which hotel preference you would like to choose from. Also, ferries, transfers, excursions, as well as overnight rail journeys. Now, in Alaska, as you will see today, starting with our first package, the Arctic Circle and Denali National Park with Alaska Railroad. Alaska Railroad is train travel during the day. So there actually are no overnight trains in Alaska. But I always say, isn't that the best part? To give you some of that most amazing scenery, vast land, snow-capped mountains, great wildlife. We're going to talk more about that as we go through. Now, this particular package starts in Fairbanks. And what I always like to mention, as I showed everyone in the previous slide, we pretty much can book everything for you and or your travel advisor, whoever you book through, except for flights. Now, when you book through your travel advisor, which is one of many great reasons to book through your local travel advisor, not only can he or she book any of these packages in Alaska by land that I'm highlighting, but they can also book your flights, including into Fairbanks, where you have a chance to travel here, and then from Fairbanks, experience Denali National Park. Now, here's a great time to mention the season that you could travel to in Alaska. And many of you may know this already, but the season in Alaska typically is from May through October, end of September into October, all right? It is what we call a seasonal destination. So typically, if you're going to go, what I always say is shoulder season, which is really the season when it's a little bit less expensive, would be the months of May and September. Now, if you're looking for weather, or maybe you're traveling with your family, your children, your grandchildren, then of course the summer months are key. But when you travel to Alaska, Denali National Park is included on every package that we offer, which also includes fantastic wildlife. And this is a full day guided tour from morning until later in the day, early evening. We're going to talk more about that in just a little bit. Now, this trip also includes the great city of Anchorage as well. So as you can see, you start in Fairbanks, where you would fly into this great city. You get to choose also which hotels you would like to stay at. You visit Denali National Park, as well as some other fantastic cities and destinations along the way before ending in Anchorage. And this is the Arctic Circle. And as you can see on the left-hand side, sightseeing tour of Anchorage included, sightseeing tour, full day tour of Denali National Park with a local tour guide, and also a sightseeing tour of the Arctic Circle. 7 days, starting as low as $14.49. Now, the pricing that you see here, not only in this package, but any of the packages and trips that I'm going to highlight here today on Alaska, is based in double occupancy. So per person, 2 to a room. Now, for any of you that are a single or a solo traveler, just ask one of our rail experts or ask your local travel advisor to tell you more. We do have a lot of single and solo folks also travel with us as well. The next package I want to highlight is our Grand Alaska Adventure with Alaska Railroad Southbound. Now, as I mentioned earlier, when you travel on Alaska Railroad, it is train travel during the day. Some of the train rides can range anywhere from 3 or 4 hours up to 5 to 6 hours. But as I go through, we're also going to talk about the seating and the seating accommodation in the premium level, and that is called the Gold Star service. This is one of those highlights right here, folks. When you upgrade to Gold Star service, which is the premium class on board Alaska Railroad, one of the biggest highlights is you have your own outdoor viewing platform. And that's what you see here right on your large screen right there as you're watching. All right, giving you that fresh Alaska air as you're traveling through the beautiful mountainside, exploring the great scenery as well as the great wildlife. So consider that. Now, did I mention you can also travel to Alaska and visit the Northern Lights? Now, this would be during the winter season. So the main season in Alaska, as I mentioned, is typically from May to the end of September into the beginning of October. However, if you want to see the Northern Lights, You can see this during the winter season months. As I mentioned, there isn't one tour we do not include to Alaska that does not include Denali National Park, where there is millions upon millions of acres. If you want to travel to a destination where there's lots of open space, that's Denali National Park. Now let's talk about the sightseeing tour for a little bit. Now, typically, our tours will stay at what's called the Denali cabins. Great little quaint cabins, about 40 to 50 of them, located right outside of the entrance of Denali National Park, probably about 7 to 8 miles from the entrance. Now, on every tour we offer, typically you'll get picked up early in the morning. It's probably an early morning departure, 6:30, 7:30 on an average in the morning. You'll make a couple stops along the way, pick up other individuals and passengers, and then you are into Denali National Park. And yes, folks, you are on a school bus. It is an authentic, really Wild West, authentic type of trip. And your tour guide is with you the entire journey, where you'll have plenty of time to take beautiful photos, such as this one. All right, see some of the great wildlife. Lunch is also included. More time in the afternoon to take pictures, videos, meet some of the local park rangers as well. Absolutely one of those iconic experiences of a lifetime. Now, one of my personal favorite little towns and really cities and quaint areas is right here, folks, Talkeetna. All right, known for some of its little country-style restaurants, country-style stores, rather. Great little taverns, all right, great little pubs, restaurants, as you can see. Just an awesome little town nestled in the middle of Alaska. You know what also is available in Talkeetna? An opportunity to mush your own team of dogs. Yes, you can if you want. So if anyone wants to have their own team to mush their own dogs, you can certainly do that. And that's a great experience. We also offer an optional jet boat ride, which will give you some of the most magnificent views of Denali National Park in the background. So for a little small town, we certainly provide a lot of great big opportunities. And again, before you know it, you're in Anchorage. So again, as you can see, some of these tours, they'll start in Fairbanks and in Anchorage. And as you'll see in some of the other packages I highlight, they'll focus more into central and southern Alaska, featuring Anchorage. Now, on this particular tour, we also include a luncheon cruise for a half a day. So this tour typically is from 9 in the morning till about noontime, ending with lunch. You will have a tour guide, local tour guide on board the boat cruise, who will be giving you commentary along this area, located right along the southernmost scenic coastline in Alaska. This is our Grand Alaska package. Again, 10 days, as I mentioned, starting in Fairbanks, heading south to Anchorage before traveling to Seward. Now, one point I want to mention, if you look at the map on the right-hand side, and this will serve as a great example to any of the trips that I'm highlighting, all the dotted lines that you see, that's, of course, Alaska Railroad, which, again, is train travel during the day. The number 2, the number 1 that you see in a round circle, those are just the number of nights that you would be overnighting in each of these areas. And here's the best part, everyone. Any trip can be personalized or customized. So what does that mean? What options are available with Railbookers? So if you look at the top left-hand corner in each of these 6 squares that I'm highlighting here today, if you want to add on any destination in your trip to Alaska, we can easily add on an additional destination. Wherever the train goes, we can take you and your friends and family there. You can also take a trip round trip. So round trip from Anchorage, round trip from Fairbanks, okay? You could also book a trip in reverse. So instead of starting in Fairbanks, ending in Anchorage, well, you could start in Anchorage, end in Fairbanks. You could also upgrade to first class, or even better yet, Gold Star service, which again, I'm going to talk more about. That is the premium level on board Alaska Railroad. And you can add sightseeing tours or private tours if you choose. And did I mention, even in Alaska, you could stay at a 3-star or 3-diamond hotel, let's say, for instance, in Fairbanks. You could stay at a 4-star, 4-diamond hotel, let's say in Talkeetna. And you could stay at a 5-star, 5-diamond hotel in Anchorage on the same trip. Because maybe you have a special occasion coming up. Maybe you have a birthday or an anniversary that you want to celebrate. Or maybe you had it last year and you weren't able to travel for whatever reason, and you want to make up for lost time. We got you covered. Let me continue on with some of our most popular Alaska by land packages. And the next one we're going to talk about is Alaska Adventure with Alaska Railroad. Now, this is an example where you would fly in and out of Anchorage. Again, we can pretty much book most of everything either with you or through your local travel advisor. But again, if you book through your local travel advisor, not only can he or she book everything, but they can also book your flights as well. Now, in Anchorage, here's what I love about independent style vacations, what we refer to the industry as FIT, flexible independent travel. This is a perfect example of that. You see, this trolley tour operates every hour upon the hour, from morning into afternoon into the evening. You get to decide when you would like to experience this trolley tour. You see, and this is a great time to explain the difference of an independent, flexible independent travel tour, which is all of our trips between Railbookers and our sister brand Amtrak Vacations, and a traditional escorted bus style tour, escorted tour operator. You see, on an escorted tour or an escorted motor coach tour, as many of you may know if you've ever experienced a guided bus tour, typically from 6 to 8 in the morning, it's breakfast. From 8 to 12, it's sightseeing. From 12 to 2, it's lunch. From 2 to 5, it's more sightseeing. From 5 to 7, it's dinner. From 7 p.m. on, there's an evening activity, and that's most days and nights on an escorted guided tour. As I mentioned, again, this trolley tour, you get to decide if you want to go morning, afternoon, or evening. It departs every hour. On certain days, we will include a full day guided tour, but it will be with a local tour guide, such as in Denali National Park. But did you know the following day in Denali National Park, you get to go back to the park if you choose. You could go into the main part of town, do a little shopping, sightseeing. We or your local travel advisor can even book a car rental for you to explore on your own. It's really the best of both. You have enough structure, but enough flexibility as well. Now, on board Alaska Railroad, as I mentioned, there's two classes. Now, I highly recommend Gold Star service. However, if any of you are trying to stay within a certain price point and you want more of the main style seating, this is adventure class seating. 2x2 seats, okay, 2 on one side, 2 on the other. Meals are available, but they're at an additional charge. Obviously, you can see you have some good sized windows, not the glass dome windows as you would in Gold Star service, but certainly very comfortable, nice scenery as well. So that's an option. Now, this trip also includes Seward, which, again, we will offer a luncheon cruise. It also offers an optional glacier excursion. So if anybody would like to see an additional glacier, you could certainly do that. But let's talk back again about Gold Star service. So, folks, I know I mentioned earlier, one of the first benefits is you have what they call outdoor viewing platform. So you can stand outside, get that fresh air as you're traveling through from one fantastic destination to another. Number 2, you sit inside this section of the train car. This is the glass dome section of Alaska Railroad. This is where you sit every day throughout your journey in Alaska when you upgrade to Gold Star service. And did I also mention you have 2 complimentary adult beverages included, which is what you see here, as well as your own little bar area if you prefer to have additional cocktails. Up to you, all right? That's a few of the big highlights right there. There's more, by the way. Now, this trip also includes Talkeetna, and again, just an awesome area. Really has that great Alaska feel, great valleys, great mountains, great scenery. And speaking of scenery, the wildlife. You know, Denali National Park, there's over 6 million acres. Here's an interesting statistic for all of you. Do you know they estimate 1 out of every 10 residents in Alaska actually has his or her own pilot's license? Just to give you an idea how large the state of Alaska is and the great wildlife. Now, again, when you do your tour, the tour will take time. They'll pull the bus aside. You can take photos. Of course, you don't want to go too up close and personal with the animals, which, of course, your tour guide will let you know. But you can certainly get some great photos, great videos. And that's one of the biggest highlights of your full day guided tour in Denali National Park. Now, as I mentioned, this particular package, you would fly in and out of Anchorage. Again, we don't book flights, but your local travel advisor can. But you get to decide if you want to be at a 3, 4, or 5-star hotel. 9 days, starting as low as $25.99 per person. Again, double occupancy, so that would be per person, 2 to a room. But we do have single rates again available if anybody would prefer. And folks, one of the last trips I'm going to highlight, Denali National Park with Alaska Railroad, northbound. So as you can see, the train can either go southbound or it can go northbound, and they're both fantastic. It's really whatever you prefer. Now, in this case, again, you'd start in the great city of Anchorage, where then you would arrive at the airport, have a transfer over to your hotel. Many of the hotels provide free transportation, so just ask us or your local travel advisor to tell you more. And then you travel north up into Talkeetna. And again, as I mentioned, most of the train rides can range anywhere from only a few hours to 4, 5, 6, even up to 7 hours on certain days. Now, we talked about Denali National Park. This is the Denali cabins. Look at these folks, nestled right there in the wilderness. They have campfires in the evening. You can even get a boxed lunch during your free day in Denali National Park. So after you have that full day guided tour of Denali National Park, Denali cabins can even provide a boxed lunch for you. So if any of you may want to go fishing or hiking on your own, if you choose, you could certainly do that. Maybe, again, you want to go back to the park. We or your local travel advisor can also help you with the car rental. Again, we package everything. And when you book through your travel advisor, they not only book everything we do with us, but they also can book your flights, making it so easy for each and every one of you. And as I mentioned, this is a northbound train. So you'd fly into Anchorage, which is in the southern part of Alaska, and you travel north before ending in Fairbanks. Folks, 8 days, 7 nights. Now, I promised you there was 5 big reasons why you want to consider upgrading to Gold Star service on board Alaska Railroad. We already talked about 3 of them. 1 is you have an outdoor viewing platform. 2, you are in the glass dome portion of the train car every day while you're traveling from one great destination to another. Number 3, you have 2 complimentary adult beverages included, plus your own private bar car. Number 4, you have your own private tour guide with you during the day as you travel from one great destination to another. And he or she is in the glass dome portion of the train car, giving each of you commentary and giving you updates and sights that you're seeing along the way. And the last part is every one of your meals is included during the days as you travel. So if you're traveling on a particular day in the morning, you'll have breakfast included. If you're traveling in the afternoon, you'll have lunch. If you're traveling in the evening, you will have dinner. Those are the top 5 reasons why you want to consider upgrading to Gold Star service. You see, I heard many years ago from one of our travelers, her and her husband traveled. She said, you know, it was worth every penny extra to upgrade to that premium level. She said, because I don't even remember what I spent, but I do remember I had a memorable experience. Isn't that a great point? So for a little bit extra, folks, you'll get that much more of an opportunity. Now, what makes a luxury rail journey different? Hopefully I've been able to highlight many of them here today. It's an iconic, historic, and often incredibly scenic route. Well, you won't be disappointed in Alaska, I could assure you that. Impeccable onboard service with dedicated stewards and staff throughout your journey. Well, again, when you upgrade to Gold Star service, that is definitely a big highlight and really goes hand in hand with this point. World-class cuisine prepared by private chefs. Yes. Again, when you have Gold Star service, your meals are all included. Sit-down service as well, sit-down meals. A variety of onboard sleeping accommodations. Now, as I mentioned, Alaska Railroad, you do not sleep on board the train. It is not an overnight train. But guess what, folks? We travel all over the world, and I'm going to show you in just a minute some of those trips that are trending right now that folks are booking and traveling on for this year, 2023, and even planning into 2024. And the last part is private excursions and additional activities that can be arranged for individual customers, for each and every one of you, your friends, your family. We got you covered. Now, what are some popular vacations that were booked this past week? Yes, of course, no surprise, Alaska Adventure with Alaska Railroad. By the way, I should have mentioned, if some of you don't want to be on a cruise ship with 3,000 to 4,000 other people and you'd prefer to have more of an intimate, smaller style experience, with enough structure, but also enough flexibility and really see a lot more of Alaska, then consider Alaska by Rail with Railbookers. Or if any of you are planning to do an Alaska cruise, maybe next year, why not extend your trip? Why not spend more time in Alaska? Because you don't even know maybe if you're going to ever travel there again. So why not see more while you're out there? So we can help you, whether it's as a land package, a rail versus sail, or rail with sail. All right, we can combine it with any of you that are planning to do cruises if you prefer. All right, now what also is trending for us? Switzerland, which is basically the Alaska of Europe, Italy, and some of our new itineraries over into Sicily, and then of course Venice, Florence, Cinque Terre, and Rome. So if any of you have that international flair and you're ready to travel across the pond or across the Atlantic Ocean back to Europe, well, you will not be disappointed. Folks, I hope you enjoyed today's pre-recorded on-demand webinar. I encourage you, pick up that phone, give us a call, or even better, reach out to your local travel advisor who, again, can book any of these Alaska by land packages, but also your flights as well. On behalf of Railbookers, I wish you all a fantastic rest of the day, the morning, the evening, the week, the weekend, whatever you are watching and viewing today's pre-recorded on-demand webinar. Folks, again, on behalf of Railbookers, thank you so much, and we look forward to having you, your friends, and family on board soon. Take care.